Okay.
Welcome to the Bozzuto recruiting session. I'm really pleased to have with us Michelle Mizels, who is the campus recruiting manager for Bozzuto. Bozzuto, as you're going to learn about in this presentation and session today, is a great place for students to get their foot in the door for really a great career. It was recently ranked the #1 workplace in DC by the Washington Post, perennially known around the city and around the country as a great place for people to enjoy and have really great, fulfilling, meaningful work. So I'm really grateful. I know that all students at Catholic University have experience with Bozzuto because we all go across the street to Monroe Street Market, which was a Bozzuto project. So it's all around DC. There's many different opportunities, and I'm really, really glad and excited, Michelle, for you to tell us more about it. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Brett. Hi, everyone. Thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedules to come in and listen to me talk about Bozzuto and our opportunities. I appreciate that we can still get together despite what's going on. And so thank God for technology and the opportunity to be able to connect. So I'm going to give you an overview about Bozzuto, the company. I'll talk about the different divisions, and then I'm going to touch upon the career trajectory for the different divisions that I'm going to highlight today, as well as some of our internship opportunities. And then at the very end, you'll be able to see how to apply and how to follow back up with me if there are additional questions. So without much further ado, I'll jump in. And the one thing I do invite you to feel free to interrupt me if you have questions. You can ask them via the chat or raise your hand, and I'm glad to help answer them. I don't mind making it more conversational rather than me talking just at you. So anyway, so I'm Michelle Mizels, and I am the campus recruiting lead for Bozzuto. And we are a real estate company. We're headquartered in the Washington, D.C. area. And I will, without much further ado, jump into Bozzuto. So as I mentioned, we'll get an overview of the different company divisions and what an employment opportunity can offer to you and how to apply. Okay. So a little bit about Bozzuto. We have 4 main lines of business within the company. We have a development company. The development company spearheads a couple of different projects annually that are going to be multifamily focused. So when you think multifamily, think high density housing. You have single family, we are multifamily, condos, apartments, and more of what we do is mixed use. So Bozzuto builds, if you think about Monroe Street Market, you have ground level retail or commercial businesses with apartments on top. That's mixed use. So Bozzuto Development Company spearheads a couple different projects a year. In total, they've built over 18,000 residences. Now, when they spearhead a project, they award it to Bozzuto Construction Company to build. So Bozzuto Construction is a general contractor. We build not just for Bozzuto, but we build for a lot of other companies as a GC. And to date, we've built over 38,000 dwelling units around Maryland, the Maryland-Washington suburbs, DC, Northern Virginia. We also build in the Philadelphia suburbs. So we have a location there around the King of Prussia area. So our construction company builds there. And we also are starting to build in Massachusetts, and we're just always constantly looking westward for other markets where we can expand. But the construction company here, something that's interesting to note about the Bozzuto Construction Company, I mentioned we build for Bozzuto, but that's only really about 20% of what we do. The other 82%, we build for a lot of other people out there. The projects that have been built they all have a residential focus. So you think hotels, student housing, senior dwelling, anyway, and then of course, apartments, condos, townhomes. And now the development company, they also spearhead residential projects. So as I've just mentioned, condos and townhomes. These again are more urban infill kind of projects, and they are like boutique style. We're not a large mass tract builder. We'll go into an area that is, kind of like around Monroe Street Market. You may have seen there are some townhomes coming up. Bozzuto's been building those. So that would be an example of a boutique style community project that we would work on. Now the finished projects that the construction company completes are awarded to Bozzuto Management Company. So Bozzuto Management oversees the daily operation of over 275 apartment communities. We're focused along the eastern seaboard. So think Massachusetts down to Miami. And then we go into the Midwest as well. We have a presence in Chicago, as well as we're a little bit outside of Milwaukee in Wisconsin. And again, we're continuing a westward expansion. So it's kind of exciting to see what's next for us. Now, so a little bit about the background of Bozzuto. We're over 33 years old. We were founded by Tom Bozzuto, and he had a couple of colleagues. So I think they must have drawn straws, and Bozzuto won to be the name. So Tom is our current chairman, and we are still run by a Bozzuto. His son Toby is our president and CEO currently. And we were founded on the principles of concern, creativity, passion, and perfection. So everything that we do encompasses these core values. So when you look at how we're all about the experience that we can offer to people who choose to live in our residence. We say we create sanctuary, but on the flip side of that, the company also looks at how we treat people, because at the end of the day, if the employees aren't happy and feeling engaged, we're not going to give people, the customer on the other end or me talking to you, we're not going to give you a good experience if we're not happy in our role. So they do a lot to ensure that we're happy and challenged and engaged. A little bit about our footprint. So I mentioned we're along the eastern seaboard. As you can see here, Bozzuto operates in the Boston area. We've been in that market for roughly 10 years. We're overseeing over 6,600 units. That number is growing. And we're starting to build in that market. So we have a project, our first one in the market, that will be coming out of the ground this spring. So it's kind of exciting. And then we're in the tri-state area, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. So we're in Manhattan, Long Island, Westchester. And as far as it goes with New Jersey, we're along the Gold Coast, and then we're into central New Jersey. The Philadelphia region, we're in Center City, as well as in the suburbs. As I mentioned, I focused on Chicago and Wisconsin. And then in the DC metro area, so we are headquartered in Greenbelt, and we have the highest concentration of the properties that we oversee around the Washington metro region. It's over 150 properties between DC, Maryland, and Virginia. And we continue to build in these markets as well. And it's fun because you can't look in any direction in DC and not see a crane in the air. Now, we don't need to have our name on the most cranes, but we're proud of where we have our name and for the recognition and knowing what we're doing in the area. And then Florida is a fairly new market for us. We've been there for about the last 3 or 4 years, and we focus on properties that are from Boca on down to Miami, a lot of new construction. It's pretty cool when you see what's going on in the market, especially in Miami, going down into like the Center City area. There's just a ton of new construction and development. So we like to toot our horn a little bit here. Bozzuto has been recognized. You can see a lot in 2020. It was a good year, but it just cascades from 2019, 2018, 2017. We've been recognized by the Washington Post as a best place to work for probably 8 or 9 consecutive years. 2020, I think we can be most proud of the fact that we were recognized as the #1 place to work. So that's an employee voluntary survey that employees complete and recognize their employer. Like, I like working there. Some other awards and accolades that are worth mentioning. Our construction company was recognized in the top 400 engineering record, as being a top contractor. And we have been recognized as being a top property management company. If you see the aura, so that's online ratings. So that's residents evaluate Bozzuto. And so, that's something that we have been recognized 5 consecutive times. We're hoping, we don't have the word yet about 2020, but when it hopefully will come out and we'll still be as successful as we've been previously. But something else, or a couple of other things that I think are important to mention, the CEO, Catalyst, Champion for Change, and just being, a CEO of the year, Toby Bozzuto. A lot of CEOs have been very vocal with what's going on in the world over the past couple of years. Some don't say anything at all, but when your CEO speaks up and the first thing that he is talking about is his concern for the people who work for him, and you really feel like you have strong leadership at the helm and someone who has your back, someone who really cares about your experience and what you're going through. Anyway, so he rightfully deserved that award, and it's fun to talk about that recognition for him. Okay, so let me jump in and talk about our different divisions within Bozzuto. So the biggest group in the company where we have the most recognition is Bozzuto Management Company. Bozzuto has probably 2,800 employees, of which 2,200 work for the management company, so that they have the lion's share of employees within Bozzuto. Now, as I mentioned, we manage properties all along the East Coast and into the Midwest. And so the properties that we manage each have a team on site. So, I mean, if I were sitting in the room with you, I could probably ask for a show of hands. It's not going to be as easy to do right now, but so we'll just forget that I was even going to try to ask for a show of hands if anybody lives at Monroe Street Market or Rhode Island Row or any of those properties. You can get an idea for, what we, how we believe you should experience living at a property. When you walk into the community, there is a scent that you should smell in the air, even through your mask these days. Hopefully you smell it, but there should be something that you'll observe, which is consistency. If you go into a Bozzuto property in Miami, or if you go into one in Boston or one in Wisconsin, you should be treated the same way. You should smell the same scent. You should sense some consistency in how we do things. So the standards really is what it comes down to. Now, to work on site at a property, we have a team, and the team consists typically of a property manager, an assistant manager, a sales and marketing associate, and then we'll have a concierge, and we'll have a maintenance team. So as you can see here, this is the career path. We have internship opportunities. So the summer intern position is basically mirroring what you see for the sales and marketing associate role. It's real life, exposure to a day in the life over 10 weeks for what this kind of a role has to offer. And in that role, you would go through a full training and an onboarding, and you'd be a part of a team, and you will be tasked with handling the social media and the marketing outreach. You want to help generate new leads for the property, help building the interest in the market. You would work with our other marketing group. We have brand marketing, we have consumer marketing, and we have digital marketing. So you'll get exposure to all of those types of marketing in the internship role. Additionally, you'd be leasing apartments. So if you enjoy working with people in this role, you're going to get a lot of opportunity to be customer facing and be exposed to people. You also are just going to be learning how to navigate through the daily operations and scenarios. When you work where people live, you sometimes never know what things can happen, and you get some good exposure to how to think on your feet and work your way through different things. So the summer internship position with us, it's a paid internship. You get an hourly rate, plus you can earn leasing commissions. The program officially begins June 1st, and it will run through the first week of August. Now, as I mentioned, that's a real life day in the life of what it's like to be a sales and marketing associate. So the sales and marketing associate, the full-time role, you're learning about the challenges of managing a multi-million-dollar asset and helping to provide a good experience for all the people who live there. and, just learning about what goes on with the day-to-day. You'll handle the marketing and the outreach, the leasing. There'll be resident events. You'll handle vendors. So it's a good experience for someone, and it's going to prepare you for a leadership role. We believe that we want you to be cross-trained in all the different roles. So the next step would be to grow into an assistant property manager. Assistant managers, you're going to be dealing more with the financials. So you're going to get more behind the scenes experience with how the business operates. When an apartment is leased to someone, we think about rental collections. You have to think about what it costs to keep the lights turned on, paying people's salaries, just projects that the property has for maintenance even. And so with that being said, that falls under the assistant property manager. And from there, you would grow to being a property manager. So the property manager role, you are basically like an asset manager. You're in charge of the profit and the loss for a multi-million-dollar asset. You manage a team of people. You are responsible for putting together a budget, which is a month-by-month forecast for how the asset will perform. You have to think about marketing strategy. You have to think about, just what's going to transpire over the next 12 months and how the asset will perform. So growing from property manager, the next step up would be a regional associate. As a regional associate, you're going to have more training along the way that's going to help you with leadership, that's going to help you understanding how to manage people and how to navigate all the different scenarios that are involved with managing people, how to mentor, as well as helping you to learn about the financials and meeting those goals for the property. But as a regional, you're not just responsible for one asset and the team, you'll have a portfolio of probably 2 or 3. And then as a regional portfolio manager, you have more. So our regional managers probably could have anywhere from 7 to 10 properties. And the teams that roll up under them, you can keep growing from there. But this is just one example of a career track. The sales and marketing role typically is a good stepping stone into other areas within the company as well. So a little bit about our management company now. Let's go into construction. So Bozzuto Construction. It's funny, we refer to all of the internal divisions as, BMC, Bozzuto Management Company, BCC, Bozzuto Construction. So if I slip up and say BCC, you know what I'm referring to. So the construction company, they have an interesting career path. They also have an internship program. We build, as I mentioned, around Maryland, DC, and Virginia, and in the Philly suburbs. That position as an intern, interns do a rotation where they have exposure to what goes on in the office. So they're going to learn about the financials. They're going to learn about what the project manager does in terms of operations, how they manage a project, and then you'll get exposure to what goes on in the field. So, one is the yin to the yang, the other's yang, that is, and the field operations side of it deals with seeing the project come vertical out of the ground. That they're the ones who orchestrate what all of the subcontractors and the laborers do. They're the ones who determine the schedule. So, when materials are arriving on the job site. You can't have 300 laundry machines show up at a project when you're still framing it if you don't have a place to store them. That's not a good thing. And so just thinking about the progression and the phasing of a project as it becomes vertical. And then the third part of the intern rotation is to learn about what goes on at the forefront of it all, which is estimating and pre-construction. We get awarded work because we put together pricing and we put together a summary of how we propose to build the project, and that's how we get awarded work. So the intern program, it's an abbreviated version of what all those different people are experiencing all year over 10 weeks. But typically, someone who starts with us would come on board as an office engineer. So as an office engineer, you're going to be more specialized. You'll either work out as a project under the project management umbrella, under the field operations umbrella, and we want you to see a project come out of the ground and go to completion. And then from there, someone becomes a project engineer. The biggest difference is you know who the players are on the field, you understand the software. You're still in a learning role, but now you're focusing on a direction. So as you can see here, the number 4 category is project management, estimating, and pre-con or field ops. So these are the different career tracks that people would pursue, and the internship and the office engineer role give you exposure to them. And, we want to try to find the best placement for someone. And you're never pigeonholed. If you decide that you're on a project and you've been in the field and you want to learn about the office side of it, you can definitely cross over. You're not siloed. So that's a little bit about construction. And then we have accounting. So Bozzuto has different, our construction division has accountants, our corporate division has accountants, and our management company has accountants. And so typically people will come in. I do have an accounting internship opportunity this summer as well. That role will have you working as part of a team and learning about how we do property management accounting. The teams that are on site working and managing the operation for our apartment communities, they are handling the day-to-day, but you have to think about the financials and the reporting. And so the team of accountants in the office, that's where they come in. So this role as an accounting associate, your career grows to a junior accountant, property accountant 1, property accountant 2, senior accountant, and so on. But essentially you're responsible for a portfolio of properties, and you're responsible for, fiscally managing how the assets are performing, forecasting, job costing, providing details to the ownership groups about how, if there's a cash surplus or a deficit, helping them to understand the performance of the asset, and hopefully that Bozzuto is managing it well. Okay, so let's focus a little bit about what Bozzuto can offer to you. So I understand that a lot of you are seniors now and graduating, so you might be curious to know more about benefits that an employer can offer to you. So these are some things that, I think might stand out when we're on the other side of all of what's going on with COVID. This might be something that will appeal to people. We have a great fitness facility in our corporate office in Greenbelt that's for employees only. The properties where we manage the operation, if someone works on site, you have access to a pretty nice gym there too. They have CrossFit rooms, yoga studios, lots of different things. So we also think someone will tell you, you can never get too far of a head start on your savings for retirement. We have a good company match 401k. And if you work for the management company, something that can appeal to people is that if you work for the management company, you can get discounted rent at the community where you're working. Some other things. So, Bozzuto is very big on we call it Bozzuto Rise, or Rise by Bozzuto, and that's our corporate philanthropy. So with something like this, you can be as involved as you like. But, every month there's something in the, some kind of an opportunity for us to do something in terms of volunteering or community service, or just to acknowledge that there are things going on around us. So you can participate in a Habitat for Humanity build, or we could have another kind of volunteer day. There's always something going on at the office, a fundraiser of some sort. If you've ever heard of Alex's Lemonade Stand in August, or in October, we raise money for breast cancer awareness. In November, everybody who can grow a mustache grows a mustache for, Movember, and we raise money for men's prostate cancer awareness. So there's always something going on. And then, I'm just highlighting the things. I know you all can read the other items that are listed here, but something else that I think is important and noteworthy to stand out relates to our ERG, employee resource groups. We have a handful of them, and, they're tailored towards helping you find a mentor in the organization, or finding people to identify with, or, just learning about what the company has to offer. So there are a variety of different resource groups. We have a young professionals group that they just met recently, and they talked about helping to set goals for professional development. So good things along those lines. Now, other things that can stand out. I know you're wrapping up your college career, some of you. But, graduate school might be something that you're thinking about, or you could be thinking about some of the positions will require maybe a professional certification or licensure. We help you get all of that, and we will pay for all of that. Okay, so there. Anyway. Okay. Now, I'll focus a little bit more on the internship program. So this is something that we've been hosting interns for probably the last 10 years, and we're pretty proud of our program. This picture that you're looking at is one of our community service events. We volunteered for a nonprofit called Second Chance that's in Baltimore. Second Chance deconstructs homes. So when people buy a property, they tear it down and they rebuild the home of their dreams. Second Chance will go and they're the ones who deconstruct the house. So we're working in their warehouse, and you can see we're pulling nails out of floorboards. And Second Chance also employs people that are transitioning from being incarcerated to mainstream society. They give them a second chance and employ them. And so we were working in the warehouse with these people, and it was just a really great day. It was also in July, so it was like hotter than it was believable. But anyway, that aside, let me show you some details about the internship program. This summer, if anybody's interested, I have opportunities in Massachusetts, around Boston, so the Seaport area. I'm thinking about some of the other locations, Quincy, Watertown, Cambridge, just to name some of the areas. I have an internship opportunity in New Haven, New York City, Westchester, and Long Island. And Pennsylvania, that is actually for the construction company, just to make you aware. New Jersey, I have openings, as I mentioned, in Hoboken, Fort Lee, Jersey City, Cedar Knolls, and then, of course, around the DC metro area. I've got some opportunities in Baltimore. I've got some opportunities in DC, and then in Northern Virginia between Fairfax and Arlington. And Florida, can't overlook that. We have an opportunity in Miami. So this next picture just highlights from intern programs in the past. So fun outings when everybody could get together and not have to safe distance. I'll be curious after this year to see what we do to highlight the events. Everybody will be wearing masks and standing 6 feet apart, but we'll get some good images to be able to show it. But here you can see people working for Second Chance. And then some of the other items that you see are just, team building events in the left-hand corner. That was a group. They went to a place where you could do rope wall climbing and go on zip lines, and just a fun day to do something different. Some of the other groups have toured construction projects just to learn more about what Bozzuto does and how we do it. Okay, and then just some testimonials here. Eduardo on the bottom is he's a Catholic alum. So he interned with us, and then he joined us full time after his graduation. And now he's an assistant project manager with our construction company. Maddie, she interned with us, and then she joined us after her graduation. Now she's a general manager overseeing one of our properties in DC. Okay. So that is, and then that is my contact information. So if you've seen something that's of interest to you, the one thing I would say is on our careers site at the bottom, bozzuto.com/careers. If you look there and you do just a keyword search on the word intern, you'll pull up some different openings that we have. You'll see full-time positions too. So for those of you who are graduating, I would suggest looking by market. Look at Maryland and see all the openings, DC, New Jersey, and check out those positions. Definitely apply to what is of interest to you. Now, for those of you graduating in May, you will see positions specifically advertising, sales and marketing, May grad 2021. My recommendation is apply to that and follow up with me and let me know. Now, even I think right now we have one posted for Washington There's going to be one coming out for Virginia, and then we might have one in Boston right now, but we will have some other postings like that coming out probably next month, if not, well, and next month's really just next week. So just making you aware of that. And if you apply to something, shoot me an email to make me aware, because I work with a team of recruiters. So I handle the intern program, I handle some of the grads, but there might be other positions. If you see something that's of interest to you and you apply, they could be for people that they're looking for people that are available right now. So I don't want you to get lost in the shuffle and told you're not qualified because you can't start right now. So that's another reason why make me aware of what's interesting to you. And so that would be it for my presentation. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and maybe open it up to some questions that anybody might have. But, and if anybody wants me to put my contact information in the chat, I can, which I'll do.
Thanks so much, Michelle. Yeah, students, so if you want to come off mute and ask a question of Michelle, I highly recommend it. You've got the person to ask any question you might have right here. If you want to ask anonymously, you can send me a message and I'll be sure to ask it.
Hi.
Okay, hi.
Oh, sorry. Was there another question?
Nope, please.
Oh, okay. So yes, I just had a question. I know that you said it was like a really good idea to basically start in like the sales position, like the one after the internship. If I'm looking for more of like a financial sort of role, not accounting, should I still apply to like the sales management, or should I apply to um like the sales and like marketing one, or should I apply to like the management, like the third step, I think it was in that graphic?
I would, I want to discourage you from doing that only because unless you have managed an apartment community and a team of people on site in an apartment community before applying to us, you probably are not going to be considered qualified for that role. You know, we would prefer that you start out in the sales and marketing role to learn about the software programs, to learn about our company, to learn about, you know, what we do is called third-party management. You know, so unless you're specifically coming from something like that, I probably would suggest that you start at the sales and marketing role so you can get exposure to that first and then have your career grow from there. If you see other types of positions though, you know, I do think I have some other financial ones that are available. There could be, I think there might be a financial analyst role right now. One of my colleagues is handling. I don't have all of the details on that, but again, if you look at that on the career site and it's of interest to you, let me know. You know, that's probably the best advice I could give you is, you know, I want to help manage your expectation and see that you end up successfully finding the best position for you. You know, we want you to learn about what we do and why we do it the way that we do. And so starting out in the sales and marketing role sometimes is the best stepping stone. You know, I had mentioned previously going into other groups within the company that, you know, we look at our internal talent pool before we look outside. So if you're working in the sales and marketing associate role, you're going to get exposure to, you know, what the company is all about, you know, who the leaders are in the organization, you understand the systems, you understand who is our client, you understand the culture. And, you know, sometimes that's enough to help you decide if you want to continue on and grow your career with the company. Also, we ask that you stay in a position for a period of a year before you look to grow into the next role. And again, that is intentional. So we help you learn and grow with what we do and why we do it that way. Again, just to reiterate that. But, you know, once you've completed that 1 year mark, you are welcome to throw your name into the hat and apply for other positions. And then, you know, you can go into marketing. You could do something more analytical. You could go into asset management. I've seen people go into different areas. So it's really dependent upon what you're looking for. And over the course of that year, you'll see all the different positions that come and go as we open them up. We always advertise internally before we go outside.
Hi,
Thank you.
Michelle.
Hi, Emily.
Hi, thank you for coming and presenting. That was super helpful. I was just wondering, I have two questions. What's the percentage of people who start as sales and marketing and move their way up to the company? Is that a big percentage of people that have room for growth? Or you typically?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Anytime we open an assistant manager role, it's competitive because we have people that are waiting. They want to grow their careers. They want that next step. So, we have training that's in place, and that's partly why we asked you to wait 1 year in your role. Your manager and your assistant manager are going to start to cross train you and introduce you to what they do so many months in. We're taking it, we have a course mapped out. And so they're going to start to introduce you to their roles and their responsibilities because they want to see if you like it. They want to give you this exposure because if you do pursue this stepping stone, they can help you navigate through the training and understanding what's going to be the best route for you to take, the types of communities that we manage. So, it's competitive, but I would say that, we typically prefer to fill a position with someone internal versus externally. And once you get up to certain levels of a position, sometimes we don't have people that are ready for it. So it necessitates looking outside. But as a rule of thumb, we always want to look inside first.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And then in addition to that, how would you describe that like leadership structure of people who are in the sales of marketing wanting to move up, but then the second ones always want to be going up to like the third and fourth, continuing, or do you see a lot of your employees in those higher positions are happy with their position and not really looking to move up, or you see like a lot of shift in that leadership structure?
There's a lot of different ways to answer that. I would say that we have so many different property types. And so someone could be managing one kind of working at a type of property that is in an urban area that's, stabilized, meaning that it's like Monroe Street Market. We call that a stabilized property. It's been around for a while. It's had people move in, move out. Versus something that's brand new, that's never been occupied before, that's a completely different challenge for someone to take on because you have to think about the marketing strategy. You have to think about your budget for it. You have to think about the team. There's just a lot involved if you have a new property, or you could have something that is a senior property, or you could have something with affordable housing components to it. So you have to understand, different laws as it relates to tax credit or Section 8, subsidized housing, affordable housing. There are just every property has its nuances. And so there's a different way that we can challenge you along the way. And some people, as their careers are growing, we want to find the best challenge for you. Some people are, you might go onto a property that has commercial space. So you have to learn how to manage both the commercial space as well as the residential space. Or you might decide, I've worked on the property side, I'd like to go into a marketing role, or I've worked on this role and I'd like to move into, I'd like to cross over into construction, or I'd like to go into HR and do what you do. I want to recruit. So that happens a lot too. There's a lot of different avenues that you can pursue. So I think that's another reason why we want you to hang out in your role for a little period of time and just be able to take in and observe all of the different options that are available. Plus, your manager and their manager, everybody has their eyes on you because one, they care about you, they care about keeping you and growing your tenure, and we want to keep you challenged and excited about what you do. So, your manager is going to be talking with you quite often about, every step of the way as your career is growing and the things that you're experiencing to help ensure that you're enjoying your role.
Of course, thank you. And then my last question would be, how large are those teams within like sales and marketing and within each step for each location?
That's a great question. So it depends on the size of the community. So, if you were working on a property that had 600 apartments, and say it has retail space, you're going to have a big team. You're going to have a general manager, an assistant general manager. You might have another manager layer in between. You could have a leasing manager. You'll have a concierge, and then you can have a sales and marketing team that has 3 or 4 people. And then that's just the office side. Then you have the maintenance side. If you're working on a construction project, for example, the construction projects, same thing. If you're on a larger scale project, the size of the team is directly going to correlate to the kind of project that you're on. Same thing with accounting. We have accountants that are managing a portfolio of our assets, of apartment communities. And so, the sizes of the teams are going to correlate with how many different properties that there are.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Michelle.
Sure.
I just have a quick question. So as an intern, how many property buildings would you, might be in or work in?
I'm sorry, how many what?
How many property buildings would you be working in or handle, for the leasing position? I think that's what you said the internship really entailed, correct?
Yeah, so as an intern, you would be assigned to one location. So you would be one property for the summer, one team. And if you're hired for a full-time associate role, same thing, one property, one team. And then, you'll be a part of the corporate office as well, but your day-to-day will be at the community where you're working.
Thank you. And would this be mostly on site?
Yes, you would be on site. So, depending upon the market where you are located and where you would be hired for a specific property, and then that will be your office, that property.
Thank you so much.
Hi, Michelle. My name is Jessica McCarthy. I am a senior at the Busch School. I was just curious, as far as the industry of development, I know it's different than hospitality. So I was a little curious to see how COVID impacted this industry, and how you think Bozzuto responded. Did they respond well to pivoting and adjusting to it?
I do. So you asked me about development. Do you mean Bozzuto overall, or were you asking me? Okay. So, overall, as soon as this happened, we immediately got a message out to employees, and then we got a message that went out to our the clients, and then a message went out for the residents of our communities. And for a period of time, we had to halt everything to make certain what we could do could keep our employees safe, keep our residents safe. And we have a safety director, and we put a lot of good measures in place. It's not uncommon to go to any company's website these days and read their policies as it relates to COVID and what they're doing to keep people safe. So, our construction sites were able to, construction was deemed essential, residential construction specifically, we were able to maintain those projects. We implemented different practices with PPE, the personal protective equipment, to keep people safe. We test people as it relates to the apartment communities because of where people live. There are amenity spaces on the properties. People want to go to the gym and they want to hang out in the club room and they want to sit out at the pool. And, that's where it becomes a little bit more precarious, and we have to be mindful and protective of people. We want to be protective of the staff. So we implemented a lot of different measures to keep our employees safe and to protect the residents who were living there. And, as we're all navigating through what's going on with COVID, there's every day it's something new with crazy new variants coming out. But, I think that the company handled it really rather well. It happened to correspond with a lot of different things going on in the world, lots of crazy things erupting around the country. And, you know, I feel like our leadership didn't miss a beat responding, not just to COVID, but to those things as well. So to answer your question, yeah, I think the company demonstrated great agility, and, you know, we've been able to come to this point. You know, last year was, you know, it's not something that we want to repeat anytime soon, but I think you know, we figured out that we can still be able to operate business and keep people safe and healthy.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for asking. Anybody else?
Yeah.
Okay,
I
hi
have a quick
Eric.
question. For the office engineer position, is it mostly like being out in the field, or does it depend like which like section you work in?
You're in the field. You would be assigned to work at a construction project. That type of a role, you'd be a part of a team, and the team has, you know, as an office engineer, you're either going to work under a project manager learning about project management operations, or you'd be on the same project but under a superintendent learning about field operations. And so that's how we manage all the subcontractors and the laborers. So, you know, we don't build the project, we manage the people that do. And so depending upon the need, and, you know, we'd look to place someone on a project and then, you know, help you learn and grow and understand the role and the contribution that you would make.
All right, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay.